Here's a small selection of the rogues gallery of covert political actors. So an inquiry is being conducted instead of a royal commission, without which none of these covert political actors can be summoned to give evidence. Anyone summoned to appear at a royal commission has to turn up, or it's a criminal offence, 2 years in jail. Refusing to tell the truth under oath, you can be fined or imprisoned. It would certainly come out in other evidence in a royal commission, subpoena of documents, etc., that there was no evidence to justify anything that they did, and they would be personally held accountable for all the lockdowns and other actions that they did directly caused so much unnecessary devastation to most Australians. And nearly all have fled the scene. I note that Kerry Chant still pops up occasionally, and Paul Kelly is still there. And if any of them do turn up to this inquiry, here's what you can expect while they're not under oath.
That within the Omicron wave, vaccines are entirely and incredibly effective.
That's not my question. Sorry, Chair, that is not my question. Your numbers show that the death rate from Omicron is higher than the death rate from Alpha. That is what I want you to explain, please. It's deflecting from my question.
Senator Rennick, I am not able to instruct Professor Kelly on how to answer a question.
And that's going to be the same for this upcoming inquiry. If it was a Royal Commission, this smart ass wouldn't have been able to get away with such bullshit. Now, the Biosecurity Act contains a provision that would have held the Health Minister personally answerable without even having to be forced to testify at a Royal Commission. It's written in the legislation itself. And Section 474 clearly stipulates the Health Minister to exercise human biosecurity emergency powers personally. So it's already established that he is personally responsible without him even turning up to testify or to give any evidence. Now, the single most critical power in all of the COVID intervention that opened the door for border closures, all that sort of thing, was the declaration of the human biosecurity emergency that ran from 18th of March to 17th of April 2022, ceased only to bring back the Constitution so they could hold the election, which I've mentioned in another video. And the Health Minister gives the Governor-General advice. See, the Health Minister can't declare the emergency because then the Constitution isn't suspended. It has to be done by the Governor-General. So how did they plan it so that in advance, so that this character, this lowlife, couldn't be personally held responsible as written in the legislation? Like as in a surprise witness at a murder trial, a surprise announcement by the COVID Prime Minister in August 2022, he announced that he was in fact a joint health minister on the 14th of March 2020, prior to the declaration of the human biosecurity emergency, meaning that without an admission under oath at a Royal Commission by either of them, the Health Minister cannot be singularly identified, nullifying automatic culpability that was built into the legislation. Now, the COVID Governor-General added to the fog by incorrectly claiming advice from the Federal Executive Council, rather than specifying the Health Minister in accordance with the law. But you can just say, well, all the ministers are in the Federal Executive Council, so that is correct. But that's not what the Biosecurity Act specified. So I think it could be confidently stated on a balance of probability that Morrison appointing himself to the Health Ministry was in preparation for post-COVID-19 examination, whatever form that was going to take. He did claim in his Facebook post that he was also minister in other ministries, but I think that was more of a smokescreen because this was the most important one. And this legislatively now protects Hunt from being, as I mentioned before, automatically responsible for his role in COVID-19. Now, look, let's not rule out. Maybe Morrison might find time from his new role overseas to come back and state which of them actually gave advice to the Governor-General and is therefore responsible. He could. And this is just one example of how the whole thing was planned. Like post, like what he just announced at the time, oh, I'm also a joint health minister. Well, he waits till after the emergency because people would have said, well, did you give the order for the biosecurity emergency? Say at one of the national cabinet meetings. No one ever asked that question. No one ever will now that the emergency's over and there's no Royal Commission. All right, that's it for this one.